Schuler. I'm here with Julia Talbot. We're here for the Human Services Delivery Division Emergency Food, the RFP webinar. Now, can anybody hear us? Please type in the little dialog box if you can't hear. Okay, nobody's putting anything in there, so we're good to go.
Well, so type in if you can hear.
Okay, then.
Okay. What's the?
Okay, so what we're going to talk about, our agenda, about our strategic framework, why these RFPs look different, the overview of high-level changes, the division RFP changes, and overall the human services delivery programs. Now, emergency food is in that group. And here are divisions. So we have 8 program divisions in the department. So as you can see, it's pretty much children, youth, DV, homeless, seniors, workforce, veterans. And here we are at the bottom, in the right-hand corner, the human services delivery. Next, we've done a lot of work and you've received various emails about our mission. After quite a long time, we revised it, looking to consolidate it, to exactly say what we're here for. So we're here to build stability, support the well-being, and empowering the Chicago citizens to survive. Our priorities, we're going to deliver high-quality, innovative, and comprehensive services that empower clients, our clients, to thrive, and collaborate with community partners, sister agencies, and public officials or programs on policies that improve Chicagoans' lives and advance systemic change. That's kind of important, that systemic change, that for so long we've been doing things in the same way that it becomes habit, automatic. And we're looking at those things to change it or refocus our attention. And we're going to inform the public of resources available to them through DFS and our community partners. And of course, we have to be responsible and steward our resources responsibly and effectively. Okay, this whole thing with the strategic framework, it's like we had a plan before, but now, as I said, we're looking at it differently. So we're calling it a framework, and it's our strategic framework. So we went into 2 phases. You can read these on the webinar, the screen. This is important, the phase 2, the strategic contracting. We're conducting more robust planning for our RFPs. We're developing our RFPs and contracts focused on the outcome goals. And we're actively managing our contracts to drive continuous improvement. Now, for those that are especially with emergency food, this has been going on for years. We're just calling it a little bit differently, and also we're putting it into words. So we are working with a common language. So the next one. So we're always looking. We've made changes to our RFPs, selection criteria, and application questions for this CDGA cycle. So you can read in those two columns what we're looking for. I find a bit hesitant in talking about this because for those people that have actually applied for the emergency food contracts or into providing food for people that need food, you're well aware of the problems and communications. You've had communications with our departments, different people in that service. But like I said, we're using one language together and we're looking at those things that we are going to deliver and keep on reviewing it to see if we're doing it the best way with you, in collaboration with you and other parties. So this is more, not even just in our conference rooms, but this is where you're going to be putting it on writing. So you have a record of it, and we have a record of it. So we can continuously improve the program, improve our collaboration, improve our communication in getting to what our desired outputs are. Okay, and this is just putting it down in different words with our outcome goals, our target population, our contacts. Where are we today and priorities for future of the program, particularly with emergency food. You know, this funding is for food for pantries and for other foods in emergency situations. But you know, also our funding is just a half drop in the bucket of the need and what you do. And particularly with legislation and cuts in food programs, we know this is important, so we're going to be relying on you to help us work with you to do the best we can. Program requirements. The program requirements, the most important programmatic activities agencies should undertake relate to those performance measures, how we will measure success. It's an updated version of selection criteria that reflect our focus on results and best practices. Like it's talking about our key changes and the new selection criteria. You will notice in that it's pretty much standard things that we've talked about before, but here we're putting it all together and really pressing that organizational strength. New application questions aim to solicit strong responses to help DFSS make more informed decisions. Especially when you look at the example questions, this is what we're talking about, that we're stressing. Collaboration with you, experience you've had in your own work or with others. So there's really that we're sharing information, experiences. The one thing, example questions, like, for example, the last one, please tell us about 1 to 2 times your agency made a programmatic or organizational change based on data collected. Now, especially for emergency food, you just do that. We'll have a talk about it, and it's done, and it's sort of and accepted change, but you have actually raised that standard or that criteria in that area. So this is why we're doing that, because, for example, with the pantries, it was a vendor that suggested going to the pantries to fund the pantries. So by doing that, we incorporated that into one of our models based on suggestions from a vendor. So in a lot of ways, we improve our program by listening to our vendors. On the technical side more, where it says key changes on the last one, we have a larger number of questions, but broken down to give more of a focused response, and there's a 4,000 character limit. So you're not, you know, if you want to put one example about experience, you just don't put everything all together, just talk about one thing. Next one. Okay, this is actually our program description. This is for the goal of the emergency food program for at-risk population seeks to increase the availability and accessibility of health and fresh food options to help low-income and at-risk residents meet their nutritional needs, particularly when facing an emergency or crisis situation. Notice it says particularly. Doesn't mean that you have to be facing an emergency or crisis situation. If a family or an individual needs food, we expect, as I know, the pantries will give food to that person. You don't have to have any kind of written criteria or that you can come and receive food. But we do expect the pantries be within a 5-mile radius of our 6 community service centers. So we're going to be giving the vendor additional funds so pantries can purchase extra food from you to give to people in the pantries. So they know their population. And we would hope that the vendor actually talks with each individual pantries to make sure that they are actually attending to all the needs in that community. For example, sometimes you might know people might come, they might have special dietary or religious constraints with their food. And so they'll come to a pantry and they see that they don't have that kind of food. So they'll walk out. Well, if the pantry knows that they're not serving an area, maybe they should make sure, just to make sure that they are attending to all of the needs. Sort of like special order, you know, you might just have a very small population that requires a certain kind of food to be for them. So, and we expect them to receive fresh fruits and vegetables, and we have 3 distribution models. Of course, I was talking about the food pantries, and within a 5-mile radius of the 6 service centers, those addresses are in the RFP. We need coverage from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. So pantries are usually open only a couple of days a week or one day for a couple of hours. That's fine, but you need to cover a community center with a group of pantries that cover that 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And we would like you to see if there are some pantries that have extended and weekend hours. Because like you know, we work Monday through Friday, so we wouldn't be able to go 9 to 5 to some place. But if some place was open late or on the weekend and Saturday, those would be ones that we would visit. Homeless shelters, we have about 60 homeless shelter programs. Now, the addresses are listed in the RFP because if you're going to be responding to this RFP, you need to know where these places are so you can deliver to them. And finally, special circumstances. I was just reading in the newspaper this morning that they're expecting more flooding in this area, you know, for all areas, that with changes in climate that we should expect more flooding or different temperature ranges. Now, at this point, we haven't been called on, but since we're a City of Chicago facility, that we might be called on in the future, that if you had to hand out emergency food, if you had to hand out water, bottles of water, the centers, we would expect you to be able to assist us in responding to that need. But for right now, it's been pretty much that the vendor has delivered holiday foods, like particularly turkeys for Thanksgiving, and hams we usually have for Christmas. However, for this RFP, we are requesting that we have a vegetarian option. No meat poultry or meat poultry byproduct. So it's completely vegetables or whatever you make up with food that has nothing that has to do with an animal or poultry. Sort of like no egg products or anything like that. But that we would like as a complete, something comparable to the price of a turkey, the price of a ham, because so something that would be a vegetarian option. So instead of the ham, you're going to get this vegetarian option. Now, this would only be at one of the central locations, and of course, we would talk about that to make it easier, the easiest possible. But this we do need because we found that, particularly in the north area, that we have not attended to certain people. But we would try to make it a little bit more special because it's around the winter solstice holidays. Okay, next one. These are performance measures, and they've been pretty much always the same. So the number of pantries and the hours of coverage that you're going to provide, the number of pounds of food delivered to the pantries, the number of pounds of food delivered to homeless shelters, the number of shelters participating in the program, the number of site visits to shelters. Now that means that you're going over there and just seeing that, you know, they're compliant, and just to see how things are going with their population, but also that we would require that you get satisfaction summaries from the pantry and homeless shelters to not only rate their quality and the quality of the food, but also the delivery of the food. And let's see. Okay, this is the big one. The Good Food Purchasing Problem, GFPP. Okay, the purpose of the program is to make good food, defined as food that's healthy, affordable, fair, and sustainable, more widely available to all communities in order to promote healthier eating habits, support our local economy, and create more well-paying jobs along the food supply chain. You notice that you have 4 attachments to this RFP. The Good Food Purchasing Policy Commitment, the Good Food Resolution, the Purchasing Standards, and the Purchasing Template. This whole thing with the Good Food Purchasing Standards, it emphasizes 5 values: local economies, 2, environmental sustainability, 3, valued workforce, 4, animal welfare, and 5, nutrition. This is a huge project, huge for the city. That's why it's in, we attached the city resolution to this. Your part is just to keep track of the food you either purchase or that's donated to you. That's why you have the template there. It's huge. Not your responsibility to get into all of these things. You are responsible as providers of food to provide nutritious food. But all we are asked for is to collect the tracking of the purchase and donations. And in this, you're required to sign and submit the Good Food Purchasing Policy Commitment. This is, a deal breaker. You do not sign, you have to sign the Purchasing Policy Commitment to be considered to be awarded this contract. And as a final moment, because of this, if you ever go to a vending machine and you wonder why you don't have your favorite snack anymore, it's because of this. It's because there's no more Hershey bars in the vending machine. But it's the Good Food Purchasing Policy. Let's see. Okay, key dates and deadlines. Big thing, the RFP is available on our website, cityofchicago.org, and just look into government, family, and support services. The description of the program is on page 68 to 73. Read that description because there are a lot of little things in it just to make you aware that this is we are really going into this area of collaboration, of exchange of ideas, of changing goals and objectives when they don't work out correctly, that we want to achieve our outcomes, our objectives, but if we've been going about it the wrong way, or we need to be measuring different things, this is where it starts. And it's all in the RFP. You will notice that many times they'll ask, what is your opinion? Who have you been working with? What have you read? How do you find out different things? So this is, although you have the 4,000 limit for responses, you can be concise. And don't forget their applications are due May 31 at 12 noon. This is the biggest information. Links to CDGA. Oh, just the RFP registration technical assistant. You go to our website, go down to the alert section, you hit that on, and you'll get all this information. You don't have to put that whole thing with the, that's two lines. Go to the cityofchicago.org, go to Family and Support Services, click on the alert section, and under all of that, you'll see these different things like for questions on the registration, it's a highlighted link. If you need technical assistance on doing the RFP, you click on the link. Or the hotline number is the 312-744-0358. That's budget office. And it has all different kinds of training materials, both documents and videos. Go to that. You can just hit, there's another thing that says training. You don't have to put in that long line. It's just a highlighted link. Okay. Application tips. Start it early. So register into iSupplier eProcurement as soon as possible. That's in the link with the registration. Read the RFP scope narrative as it may have changed. And I'm thinking that's pretty much us, you know, but it's a little different than if you had applied in the past. Just highlight your experience and qualification. Carefully review the evaluation criteria and use spell check. I'm not sure if you have grammar check on it, but grammar check would be good too. Next one. This doesn't, but applicants can submit applications for a single RFP under one email address.
In previous applications, this was not like an available thing, and so I just want to make sure that everybody knows that this glitch has been fixed and that you should be able to make a multiple if you want to submit for two different programs, or not programs, but if you want to submit two applications in one program model for whatever reason, you can do that using the same email address. Also, as Jenny mentioned prior, there's a 4,000 character limit for every text answer, and that includes punctuation and spaces, so plan your words carefully. One of the nice features when we talk about, these next three bullets kind of go together in terms of one of the nice features about the eProcurement system is that you can submit your application. You can save it and not show it to us, but you can also submit it to us, and then you can always pull that application back if you want to make it, change it, amend it, finish writing it, whatever, up until the due date of May 31st at 12 noon. This is a new system, and we're expecting a lot of applications. Our department alone has 26 different RFPs out underneath the CDGA umbrella. So we're expecting that May 31st is going to be a high volume day, and we do not know how the system is untested for this volume. So I would suggest that you avoid the rush, you avoid possible mishaps, and submit early, just in case there. We don't want to be able to. We don't want anybody to miss out. The way that our system works is late applications are not accepted. We cannot accept them, and we will not accept them. If we have to accept a late application, we basically have to pull the RFP and re-release it for everybody who applied. So when you're asking for an exception, you basically are asking us to re-release the entire RFP, and everybody who applied on time would be asked to then reapply. If you're having a problem submitting, this is why we want people to submit early. I suggest that you save or quote unquote submit your applications, because you want to have an application in the system. And so I would at least save one version of your application prior to that, prior to just as sort of a draft form, just so that you have something in the system. I would submit early, and that, I think, then if something happens and you end up having to you're unable to submit your final application, there's a better chance for you to negotiate. We still will not accept late applications, but I would definitely strongly suggest that you submit your application to us early. This is a new system. There are some glitches, and there is There's a fairly good amount of training materials on the OBM website, and there are links that Jenny pointed out, and there's links, from us and from DFS on the DFSS CDGA site. But you can also always call the hotline number 312-744-0358 and leave a message or talk to a real human if you're having issues. You can also call me at 312-743-1679, and my phone number is in the RFP and on subsequent slides, and that should be able to help if you need additional help.
Okay, I'm going to, with all her words and all my words that I said, with this new system, these May 31st, one is, what day of the week is that?
Oh, I don't know.
Whatever day of the week. Say like 2 days before you get this application. You haven't, proofed it or anything, but this is a really good one. You haven't proofed it. Okay, it's on a Thursday. So maybe Tuesday. You haven't looked at, you want to look at it another time. You got to submit it. Be on the safe side, submit it. Then you can go back and proof it. But on the Tuesday, submit. Next page.
Okay. So this is about addendums. We discovered earlier this week that 2 key files were not included in our RFPs. So we've had to do an addendum to include the files. If you've already started an application in CDGA, you will, when you go to your work list, when you go into your application, you will see that there is this addendum. It's designated by the solicitation number, will be amended with the solicitation number and then the number 1 or 2 or 3. And then you will be then you will be prompted to review the change, which in this case is that we added the 2 files to the work program file that you need to complete the application, and that you need to review it and you need to acknowledge it. If we find other errors in the RFP, we will continue to amend, so you might see this again, but I wanted to just show you the screen that you would be getting in terms of you have to acknowledge the amendment for the RFP.
Okay, so for contact information, my name is there, Julia's name is there. Don't forget our homepage. It really does, rather than going to the different departments like purchasing and OBM, our tech person in our department took everything and put it on our site. Doesn't make friends with the other departments. It's easier, however, for you. So that's about it. DFSS website, my name and number, Julia's name and number, and don't forget, applications are due April 31st. If you have any questions, if you want to type them in the little box, we'll give you a.
We're happy to take questions now.
Anybody typing? Oh, come on. Come on, somebody can say, gee, are you free for lunch soon? Is that a question?
Well, okay. If that's the case, thank you so much for coming to this webinar. This webinar will be posted on the DFSS website if you want to listen to it again or show it to your friends and neighbors. And thank you so much for coming, and we look forward to looking at your application.